Okay. Sadman, can you start, please?
Uh, yeah, sure. I think everybody's here. So, welcome to Learning with NRBs Presence, Eclectic Leadership Movement. Today's webinar is brought to you in collaboration with Bond, Bridging Organization with NRBs for Development and Kazi Consultants. To guide our conversation, I am very happy to introduce Mr. Kazi M. Ahmed, who is a serial social entrepreneur, founder of Bond, founder and managing partner of Kazi Consultants, and the founder and CEO of Global Center of Excellence. He is also IFC certified trainer, led many trainings nationally and also internationally, including like 12 different countries, including USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and so on. We are thrilled to have him here today. So over to you, Mr. Kazi M. Ahmed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the generous introduction. You're my colleague, and thank you so very much. This is the very first webinar, so my apologies if there are some glitches. We had initially had some little challenges. Just to let you know, this program, because we have international audience, and later it will be shared with many other even non-Bangladeshis as well. So we are conducting this webinar in English, which is not the case every time, but this particular one is being delivered in English. So my apologies if anyone has any challenges. So having said that, I would of course like Sadman to introduce our guest speaker today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kazim Ahmed. Yes, now it's my privilege to introduce Mr. Shehzad Shams, who is a London-based leadership thinker, operation strategist, and founder born in Bangladesh. With over 22 years of experience across iGaming, software, consulting, executive coaching, and non-profit sectors, he had advised CEOs, boards, and senior leadership teams across multiple continents. He is the founder of the Eclectic Leadership Movement. He is also CEO of Rononiti, Leadership Design Lab and Advisory. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Shehzad Shams to the virtual stage. Over to you, Shams, Mr. Shams.
Thank you very much, Sadman, for this very warm and a massive gratitude that I want to convey to Kazi Bhai as well for giving me this opportunity to inaugurate this wonderful initiative in collaboration with Kazi Consultants and Bond. So yes, really looking forward to an enlightening session with both of you.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to formally hand over the role of a moderator of this session to Mr. Qazi M. Ahmed. So Mr. Ahmed, the floor is yours. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sadman. I'm sure you will be coming back at the later stage. So you may, so see you soon again. Huh?
Yeah, sure.
Oops, sorry. So now, Shehzad, this is the inaugural webinar, and many people may not actually know what bond is, and I would like to share very quickly a few slides. If my colleagues, I'm sure they will help me with this. During the last couple of years, I went to, you might say, an interesting statistics. In the last 2 years, I went to 3 continents. Of course, Asia, I would like to call Europe, and North America. And there I covered not many, 4 countries, Qatar, and then, of course, United Kingdom, United States of America, and Canada. And I went to 8 different cities exclusively for bond. I wanted to understand how NRBs think, what their expectations are. So here are the cities: Doha, London, New York, Washington DC, even Ohio, and then Vancouver, Calgary, and in the back to US in San Francisco. And during all these times, I tried to understand what do they expect. And I found out trust is a big issue. I don't want to go into the details, but whatever they want to do, who they want to work with, and they need a platform, credible platform. So in Bangladesh, we are building not only Bond, but there are other platforms as well. For example, Oxfam has a very robust platform called Bridge to Bangladesh. They are trying to bring investment from the UK because Oxfam is an international INGO. Just to give an example. We had a roundtable where recently in Dhaka in collaboration with Daily Star and other partners. And we even had people from, BIDA. So now I'm going to show you, at least in 5 cities, who I met, where I went. So very quickly, let me go to my first stopover was Bond meeting at Doha, Qatar. And as the coordinator, Jishan, you can see seated here, is an internal auditor. He serves clients in UK, USA, and so on. So he agreed to look after, these are all voluntary, by the way. Huh? And I'm going to have coordinators, chairs in different cities in the world, but already we have many. So he's going to look after Qatar. So that ends the Qatar part. And then from there, I moved to London, UK. Everything happened during last year's June and July. So I met architect, Bangladeshi born, everybody. Queen Mary, Anwaruzzaman is a very, very dynamic architect. Professor Moin, who's the Queen Mary University, he teaches, and so on and so forth. I also met even Bangladeshi students, a couple of them who were very close to me, and they attended the meeting as well. So in each meeting, I try to understand, again, what do you expect? What challenges do you see? If you want to share your ideas, if you want to invest in Bangladesh, what comes to your mind? All these things came up. And then I moved to New York after the London chapter was over. One Mr. Mahbub, he runs a company in Albany, the capital of New York City. He runs an IT firm it's about security, cyber security. A very good job he's doing. And he wanted to help Bangladesh. I said, let's talk about it. I even signed an MOU with him. So in future, we are going to do this in Bangladesh. That chapter was over in New York. Then I moved to Washington, DC. I think the biggest thing happened in Washington, DC, where my good friend who worked in USAID, Mahmouda Rahman Khan, she was the host and she's the chair in of course, Washington, D.C. We had people coming from Bangladesh working for World Bank, some entrepreneurs. We had an artist, we had Akbar Hassan, who's came all the way to Florida, to Washington, D.C. to discuss this. So, and finally, for my presentation, finally here, I moved to Canada, went to Vancouver, but then I have pictures from Calgary, where I also conducted a training with Walker and our good friend who's also based in Canada now, Aftaf Khurshid Mahmood, a brand guru. He worked with so many brands in Bangladesh. Those meetings had one common theme, and I end by saying that we would like to support you, Kazi, in person, but we want to see a sustainable kind of an organization that will take care of it.
Right.
We have a website. This is the last slide, actually, and then I'll move to you. Is bondbd.net. Very simple information is there, but we have big dreams as we do. And perhaps I can say it's also very eclectic in terms of different countries, because someone from Japan will speak probably in a few weeks from now, someone from New Zealand and whatnot. So thank you to my colleagues for showing this presentation. Thank you very much. Now, back to our conversation, obviously. Azad, we know each other for long, but in between, we didn't see each other in person probably in the last 10 years. Would that be right?
I think it might be even more than that. It might be more than 20, who knows?
Yes, close to that. Right. Exactly. Now then, we all grow our own ways, and I would say I was so pleasantly surprised when I came across, actually through internet, your this about the conference that we just held.
Oh yes.
And I said, who is this person? Eclectic Leadership Movement. I work in leadership, and I've done in 12 different countries. I've done programs in person and online, so many others. And I must be part of it, Eclectic Leadership Movement.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history. We were interacting, and thank you for making me one of your advisors of the Eclectic Leadership Movement, and also I don't know, you call it ambassador of this concept or something. And in Bangladesh, our objective in the next couple of years, if not earlier, to really make it, have a currency and get things done with this concept. I've said enough. My first question to you, or you can say it in any way you like, how come? What led you to this? If you could say this, but you can add many other things on your own. Thank you. We're all listening.
No, thank you, Kazi Bhai. First of all, I'd like to really appreciate what you're doing with Bond, and really that bond that you're creating between the NRBs. So you are becoming more like a bridge, literally the bridge, the facilitator between the non-resident Bangladeshis and Bangladesh. So hats off to you and your team for this initiative. As I said, I'm very excited. So I really have to contain myself and because it's so emotional for me to be able to speak with you today. I think eclectic leadership is more like a pain response. So you might be, by the way, can you still hear me, Kazi Bhai?
Indeed. I can see. I can hear you fine.
No problem.
So out for a second.
So it's more like a pain response. So it might sound very unusual than so it is born out of a feeling of pain. So I think the first pain that somebody who was born in Dhaka in Bangladesh, And I moved out of the country when I was 19 and 20, but ever since I have been coming off and on. So there was a pain felt. I could not name that pain. I could not articulate that. What was that pain that is being bothering me and my friends and that whole generation that grew up in mid-90s in Bangladesh? So that's how it all started. And we actually did not know how to name that pain. Even the term eclectic, when it was discovered and it was agreed, we finally understood that why the term was eclectic, because the definition of eclectic, it means your ability to draw information, inspiration, instructions, insights from a diverse range of sources. So that is what eclectic means. And that's when the concept of leadership came into play as well, that, okay, so how can we, no matter where we are in our lives and whatever roles we are playing, as individuals, as homemakers, housewives, students, how can we lead ourselves and others better with whatever we have coming to us from diverse sources? So that's how the concept was forming. But I must share it with you and our friends in this webinar today, that how Bangladesh, the concept, the country, the geography, the history, played an instrumental role in whatever we are trying to do with the eclectic leadership movement. How? I'll just give you two specific examples and then I'll share a bit more. We are the largest delta of the world, right? Is there, I mean, for friends who are joining this call not aware of world's geography, Bangladesh is the world's largest delta of the world, right? So big rivers are coming into meeting to Bay of Bengal. We Bangladeshis know it pretty well. And there is a concept in eclectic leadership about confluence. So where various ideas, various perspectives, methods come together before they go and meet for something bigger. So that was the first thing to think, okay, we cannot change our neighborhood. We cannot change our geography. We are where we are. We are the 8th most populous country in the world, largest delta. Median age of Bangladesh of 180 million population, 8th populous country in the world, 26 is the median age. This means half of Bangladesh's population has not turned 26 yet. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, the potential of what we could have done, what we still can do? So all of this got you thinking that, okay, now we have the ingredients, but nobody told us the instruction how to make a beautiful dish now, which will be good for our appetite. We had all the right ingredients, but we messed it up. So this was the pain, the frustration, all the political issues and all. And the last issue that got me into the eclectic leadership way of thinking, and then I'll stop. I'll be very frank, and I'm not going to go around being too sensitive because it's a leadership discussion. We grew up in a very interesting time in 90s. Internet came in 1996. I went to Kolabagan to buy my first desktop computer. We were watching satellite TVs came into play. So we were in that junction generation. And that whole identity. So I used to have these conversations with my Nana, my Nana Bhai. I always think and I thought that I'm a Bangladeshi Bengali Muslim. I was in a country called Bangladesh. Bangla is my first language, and I was born into a Muslim family. And in that order, and I'm perfectly comfortable with all of my identities. What's the problem there? This is how the conversation started, and all the confusion, and that got us to think many things, etc. And even now, whenever we talk about cultural diversity, DEI initiatives, I always go back to how things were in 90s, our conversations with my Nana Bhai and the friends, and that principle, that how we are in Bangladesh, that typical situation we grew up as Bangladeshis, Bengalis, Muslim, Hindu. This is a DNA of eclectic leadership, let's put it this way. And it is now visualize to various models that we have, various leadership frameworks that we have. And I owe everything back to my origin story of growing up in that melting pot in Bangladesh.
You said it very well indeed. Thank you for taking a little time, because conceptual clarity, I mean, we haven't done that yet in the depth of depths, but still, you as a Bangladeshi, shall I say British Brit, but now the work that you do truly makes you so global, not only just for saying, but conceptually. As I speak to you, as I read your articles, on the one hand, you point out, as you said, the pain, the failures, and the weakness of the current models of leadership. I mean, I'm one of them who had similar ideas. Otherwise, how I would get connected, how I would be attracted to such an idea. Now, those of us who, for whatever reason, opportunities, freedom of speech, whatnot, choose to live abroad and to utilize your talent in the best way, I always feel that they have a bond for the country, hence the name Bond, that not the James Bond of your country. So you feel that bond, and you have this eclectic leadership. Maybe I'll later talk about what are the components of eclectic leadership. But if you quickly say, from a bird's eye view, how can Bangladesh, or trainers in Bangladesh, executives in Bangladesh, benefit from eclectic leadership thoughts and all? Please, let's hear from.
So one of the elements that I think we have to focus on is, I mean, that's very specific to Bangladesh, but it has a very strong influence on the eclectic leadership thinking. So I'm just sharing it for a Bangladeshi audience specifically because you will get that. My vision is, and still was, just generally about Bangladesh and eclectic leadership, was to position Bangladesh as a soft power, as a soft cultural power, focusing on the linguistic root. Okay, so this is an overall very specific to Bangladesh. And why am I saying it? Because there is history from 1952, from 21 February to until now, that the role, the pride that we feel for our language and our culture, generally our history, we have not done service to that. And this, what I'm trying to say, is what Alios Fosses does, what Goethe Institute does, what British Council does. We should be taking a leadership position with already whatever is given to us. We don't need to copy anything from anybody. So how do you provide this linguistic leadership so Bangladesh becomes a facilitator of arranging cultural initiatives? And it doesn't have to be always on Bangladesh. It doesn't have to be always on Bangla language all the time. But Bengali organizations, so the Mother Language Lovers of the World, the organization that advocated UNESCO in 1999, there, 21st February as the International Mother Language Day. Do you realize the kind of role we played in 1999? We can still play. So the stage has been set for us. The stage is there. Everybody knows what happened in 1952, the Bangla language, etc., etc. How we do it now is exactly what I want to think and invite the trainers and coaches and the leadership community in Bangladesh. I'm not asking everybody to become linguists, but what I'm saying is we have some materials which are very unique to us, very unique to our brand. Let's maximize it. Let's amplify it. That's exactly what I'm saying. So I don't have to copy a neighboring country. I don't have to copy their policy. Something is extremely unique to us. Let's not ruin it anymore. So that's the background story. Now, why I'm getting into the nitty-gritty of that. So eclectic leadership, as I said, it's a pain response. And we want to position, the way we go about looking at leadership from slightly different perspective, because we argue that the current leadership literature is pretty influenced by the Western ways of looking at things. And of course, it's very UK, US, Australian education, their leadership model, their principles and guardrails. And we want to change that by allowing more non-Western, indigenous, even principle, faith-based sources of leadership wisdom to come into the play as well. So that's the premises. And the problems that we are trying to solve with eclectic leadership as a whole is it is diverse by definition, by design, and by default, because it's eclectic. So it's not my way or highway. It's like I'm going back to the river example in Bangladesh. There may be many rivers, and let's be okay with it. And all the rivers are somehow going to Bay of Bengal. Don't worry about it. And water is such a force, it will eventually find its way out. So do not, block that way. There is no way of doing it. So eclectic leadership is very diverse in its main approach. If you say, no, I know only this way and this is it, I don't care about what you think, then you might not be an eclectic leader. So what we say is the moment you want to evolve, you will be more willing to involve others, which means you will be more likely to also solve problems in a better way. So that is the main thing. So diversity is core in eclectic leadership. How do you mix and match various principles, various paradigms? And the second thing is we are arguing against three things. There's a lot of bias against us, around us. So when I was growing up I was in India, in the UK, Europe. So it seems, oh my God, maybe I have a wrong name. Oh, I have a wrong accent. Maybe I have a wrong religion. Maybe I have a wrong skin color. So that's part of growing up now in this world. So there's a lot of bias. But it turns out, Kazi Bhai, that actually biased. There's a lot of bias inside me. There is a confirmation bias inside me. The moment somebody challenges my perception about my political views, religious views, the reaction is different. So I need to also check my own bias as well. So that's the bias we want to address. Second is the broken systems. Politics, company, society, it's the same old, same old. And the third thing is the explanation that we have been given by the traditional leadership domain. It's simply boring. And if I could just borrow like 3 Bangla words quickly, ar bhalo lage na. So it's really coming out of a boredom that enough of the same explanation. So we want to change this bias, the broken systems, and the boring explanations. And eclectic leadership will provide you with that because you are working from a very diverse range of methods. You're mixing and matching things. In the end of the day, what happens with eclectic leadership is it gives you one major skill, which is a meta skill, and it's called the skill to integrate, to be able to integrate various things in a coherent fashion. That's what just eclectic leadership, that's all.
No, thank you. Thank you. At least I know since it's in the world of thought leadership, this is, how many years old? It's been, the movement is very young. The thoughts behind it, your background, your conceptualization, oh my God, I can go back decades perhaps. But then look at the world right now. I don't want to do too much of a, finger pointing, and yet, as a leadership practitioner, as a leadership trainer and whatnot, I thought the world would become better and better and better.
Yeah.
Because we are learning more. We'll be more ethical, more just, more diverse. Accepting diversity and inclusion and all that. And yet certain countries or certain regions, it's like we are the laughing stock now. If we say that to them,
Yeah.
While majority of the people realize that, it's the respect that you can show to an indigenous idea, tradition, concept, and as you said, faith-based. there's so much good there that we can bring in.
Yeah.
So my question to you, and I will actually request others who are with us to ask you questions as well, because right now, as far as I see, I mean, many people will see later, but 23 people are online right now. As you saw, many people are writing messages, appreciating you, appreciating me, at least taking the initiative. This is our laboratory here, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that you are in a car, you are on the way, and let it be so. It
Yeah.
shows that it doesn't have to be doesn't have to be too much of a preparation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So but I was thinking that for someone who'd come from Mars or someone who has no idea, what would you say other leadership model and this model?
Yeah.
I know you have, as I read your articles, you have drawn on four different disciplines at least, so
That's right.
that and from each, if you give one example,
Yeah.
then we know in operational terms what are we really talking about. Yeah, please.
Right. No, I'd love to do that. So there are four foundations of eclectic leadership, and they are linguistics, psychology, political science, and pancultural indigenous faith-based sources of leadership. So these are the four: linguistics, psychology, political science, and pancultural indigenous faith-based leadership wisdom. Now, there are three conditions as well, that of concurrent, sequence, and preference. So what I mean is all of these four elements are needed at the same time. That's concurrence. And I'll give you an example. The second condition is sequence. So language comes first, psychology second, political science comes third, and then all leadership jargon from all parts of the world fourth. And preference is, I believe these four are sufficient. If you want to get inspired by tango dancing, salsa music, whatever, it's absolutely fine. Anthropology, sociology, but that will be an extra on top of the four blocks. Now, why am I saying it? So yes, I have a bias towards languages. I speak around 10 with different fluency. And the moment you learn a lot of languages, you start to see patterns emerging. So what happens is, an example. The moment I'm speaking to you, Kazi Bhai, now, you're hearing me speak. Our audience friends are hearing us discuss something. Sometimes I read a headline on the newspaper. It's all languages. It's all framing, right? How do you frame a certain thing? Somebody killed somebody, or somebody got killed by something. The subject, verb, this is how the whole world is moving now. What happens after the language is, it immediately creates some emotions in my mind, in my heart. There comes psychology, that if you tell me something nice, it kicks some dopamine. I feel nice. I start liking you. We have a bond. So that's where psychology comes into play. And there are four elements of that. So your belief, thoughts, feelings, and actions, they work in as like a cycle. So if I have some beliefs, that will influence my thoughts. My thoughts will direct my feelings. And however I feel, I will act. And I will possibly act to reinforce my belief. And that's how the whole cycle goes. So if you have to change somebody's action, you have to go back to the belief. So that's how the psychology comes here. Third is a major, major difference between eclectic leadership and the traditional methods of leadership is, we actively talk about political science. Now,
Okay.
it does not mean we are talking about geopolitics. We can, and we do. Sometimes we definitely talk about geopolitics, what's happening in the world, the countries, the governance. But political science is about influence, persuasion, coherence, cohesion, governance in that respect. So going back to the example, I say something to Kazi Bhai. Kazi Bhai is having some emotional reaction in his mind. And then subconsciously we are thinking, oh, okay, is anybody controlling anybody? Are we at a power balance? This is where the political science elements comes into play. That if we are in a group of 20 people from different countries, different religion, where does the power center lie? And who is that person? Where does the power? This is all about political science. And fourth is, there is an issue. how do you deal with empathy? How do you deal with, I don't know, orphans? How do you deal with poverty? What we are asking is how exactly this thing is mentioned in Maori leadership. How is it mentioned in Ubuntu? How is it mentioned in Islam? How is it mentioned in Buddhism? You will realize that there might be some similarity anyways found between all of these traditions. So what happens in leadership is balancing it is not easy. That's where we come in as specialists to really help people who want to become eclectic to figure out how to do this balance. So it's that bullseye of the four domains of language, psychology, political science, and pan-cultural wisdom. So this is the overall, the difference and the basic foundation of eclectic leadership.
It was very important that we specified even that you said linguistics,
Yeah.
and then psychology, and the political science, and the was it the leadership development, or is it the
Pan-cultural, indigenous, and faith-based sources of leadership. And just to be very specific, when we say pan-cultural, we are not discarding Western civilization. We are not saying that everything in the West is bad. So eclectic leadership is not mutually exclusive. It welcomes everything, but there is a risk that you might become confused that, oh my God, I have got 10 things, but I don't know how to make sense. We will help you make sense of all of these sources. But that's the whole point. You become very open and very diverse in your perspective.
This is where a gentleman, I know he's in the pharmaceutical sector, his name is Jamil. I find his comment very interesting and very forward looking. He says, "We are with the eclectic leadership movement." I mean, having heard you, he feels the affinity. Share and guide us the next course of action. I like this. Yeah, we have said enough. In Bangladesh, Shazad, we talked about it. I would like to offer, whenever the right time is, even a course for corporates, for students, and even for, shall I say, politicians.
Yeah. No,
and I know you were telling that you were going to share. You already probably shared with the Green Party in the UK, and so on. So if we want to create a like a chapter or community in Bangladesh, how did you think about how would you spread this in beyond UK? I mean,
I tell you what the problem is, or the limitation. I'm holding one piece of a puzzle. That's it. I don't have the other pieces. You have it. Jamil Bhai has it. Other people, they have it. So we have the materials, we have the vision, but we don't have the execution locally, localized execution. So that's where the bond is actually the catalyzing force to bring together various communities to do that. And I think I'll go back to what Jamil Bhai was saying is that you're already in the movement. And for that, what we are doing on our website now, on Ranoniti's website, we have a free diagnostic called Find Your Purpose. What we are trying to say is, I'm not assuming that what you are or what your expertise is. I'm inviting you to actually answer 25 questions, 5 minutes, free. It will give you a report for yourself, and you might be surprised to see that you are already very eclectic. And in that way, you might become our advisor. Or in that way, you might want to, work with us to co-create something interesting. But if it turns out after your self-assessment that you are still thinking, you're not sure, you need more information, then we can guide you to our community, the mini courses, whatever is there to, build up the community. What I'm trying to get at is, we are operating at 3 levels. We have a movement where we are growing, expanding. We have a platform where we are really inviting other coaches and trainers that come and co-create something meaningful for you, for us, for everybody. And the third thing is, yes, we have an advisory arm as well, which is commercial. So we can work with corporates and other individuals, which is commercial. And there are many ways of engaging with eclectic leadership to really do something good for all of us.
Thank you. And that's why I wanted to, isn't it rononiti.com? I want to share the
Org.
yeah,
Org.
org, of course. Let me, for the benefit of the audience, I'm writing RONONITI. I was taken aback. You're in UK. We are now speaking English, but in your logo, UK Bangla
Yes.
Rono Niti. What are you talking about? Why did you do that? I mean, no,
No,
I'm not accusing you.
because I think Bangla and Bangladesh. I mean, as I said, I'm into languages, heavily into languages as well. And Bangladesh cannot leave you, and that's what I said. That when I say Bangladesh has a very strong influence on the formation of eclectic leadership, the logo, the name of the advisory is a testament to that fact that the company is still called Rononiti, which is a host company of 14 other companies in the world. We have got 23 international advisors from 18 countries, and you are kindly one of them. So Rononiti, the name, as you know, the Bangla speakers are very well aware of what Rononiti means. But technically, literally it means principles of war. But in today's world, we don't want war. The way Rononiti positions itself is it's a struggle. So Rononiti is a struggle. It's a fight against the discrimination. It's against the bias, the broken systems, the boring explanation that we have been given by our politicians and our CEOs that why things cannot be done in a different way, why we need to hate each other, why we need to copy somebody and not have faith on ourselves. So that's the principle behind Rononiti now, that it's a principle of war, the fight against all of this injustice and the broken records and the biased systems.
And thank you so much. I want my audience, whoever is here, and in future, whoever will see our post live discussion, and the website rononiti.org is already there. I would like you to visit and write directly to Shehzad, and I'm sure he will respond to you. Depending on your life journey, you can even become an advisor to it. And as you said, and of course, it requires a little bit of commitment of time, energy to promote. My good friend, who is a chair at in Washington D.C. For short, they call DMV. I think D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, DMV. Department of Motor Vehicle is the other boring place that they refer to, but this is not that. So, Mahmuda, what are you saying? We who believe in diversity are already part of eclectic leadership. Well, how do you react to that, please?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's absolutely right that, after the changes in the US political scenario, many companies in the UK, US have been cutting down on diversity initiatives, and they are being very cautious and politically very sensitive that not to get into any or step onto any wrong shoes for now. And that is where the problem was, that if you have always treated diversity as a box ticking exercise, that, we have some budget, we need to tick a box, we have done something on Black Lives Matter and whatever, we are good. That is where the problem is, that it was very superficial. But with eclectically, what happens is, as I said, it is by definition, it is diverse. I mean, it is not like, my model, we are prescribed by, I don't know, ICF, and this is it, your code of conduct. There is no code of conduct. There is a foundation, and you are welcome to grow organically based on that foundation, which are very human, like language, psychology, political science, and wisdom from wherever you are. So I think she's absolutely right that you are already eclectic. You had been part of the movement, and the pain that I felt for 20 years after leaving Bangladesh as well, I could not name it. That what exactly is bothering me? Is it racism? Is it why can't I just name it? Then when the term I heard myself first, eclectic, I was thinking, oh, okay, I've heard electric, ecstatic, elastic, but what is eclectic? And then it made sense that, okay, so we say now, Kazi bhai, I mean, she's right. We say eclectic leadership is the smartphone leadership design. Traditional, before we had the iPhone, smartphones, you had a camera, you had a notebook, you had a printer. Now with your iPhone, everything is in your palm. So eclectic leadership is like that. It combines all the typical leadership jargons of empathy, EQ, systemic coaching, this and that. It's combined. And depending on whoever is using the phone, it will serve because it is eclectic by nature. And the second thing is, you will notice on our website, we do not usually say leadership development. We always say leadership design. It is design first. And that is from a technology background. It's all about design, UX design, UI design, website design. Unless and until you design a system, a building, a bridge, a city, how leadership development will always be on Band-Aid. It will always be putting scaffolding here, a bit of there, and you will always have the same problem because unless you design it well, nothing will happen. So we want to guarantee that if you design eclectic leadership pretty well, having leaders who are eclectically sound is guaranteed. It's a natural consequence.
Absolutely. I just, we have about 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes, I know. And within this time, I would like a couple of questions from the audience. I know Munzir Bhai very well. We interacted, not in person, but he's also based in Virginia, a coach, and we've been doing a ICF course together because we need to know what exists there and build from there. I mean, in a culture where clients often do not hire us unless we are certified, so be it. I can do that. But then, what am I doing beyond? That's where electric leadership comes in a big way. But here's a very critical question, and please answer that question for him. Shehzad, it seems to me that your goal is to start from the top. Is it true? Is he challenging you? Let me see.
Well, actually, eclectic. I mean, again, we are operating at all levels, but I would say it's pretty ground up, and it's interesting because the 4 domains that we are talking about, when I'm talking to a 20-year-old student in Rangpur, I will not talk about linguistics, pan-cultural wisdom. So I know how to exactly, talk in a way that he or she will understand. So I would actually argue that it's a very bottom-up approach, very commonsensical, and in a very simplified way, depending on the audience. But if you think about from a audience who is very technically sound, might be very a researcher or a professor or like a coach like yourselves, I will tell you that eclectic leadership is actually a meta skill. So yes, I'm coming from a very top down there. Like if you think about a skills pyramid, you start with hard skills, IT skills, engineering skills, very hard skills. Soft skills, negotiation, presentation, communication skills, very soft skills. Meta skills sits on top of the pyramid. That, for example, critical thinking, synthesizing, integration skills, how do you learn to learn, emotional regulation. So it depends on the audience, but it's not either or. My preference is, or my inclination is, it's eclectic leadership is very bottom up, but depending on the audience, it can start top down as well.
Thank you for that answer, because I felt who embraces it. That's where it is, as you alluded to.
Correct.
Because if I'm an independent contributor, I'm not even a manager, but I know I have to listen to not just one person, but different perspectives, and that way my decision making can be better for my own work. I'm not even a manager, doesn't matter, but in a meeting I can deliver better. So it doesn't have to, but as is you said, since this needs to be shared, spread, and the benefit needs to be, discussed, seen. That's why top-down part also comes in. So that's my 2 cents. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, you know what I mean, today, a 24-year-old university student in Bangladesh might be facing the same problem or asking the same question as the CEO of Grameenphone. That is an hypothesis that can be proven. That question might be, I'm speculating, might be something to do with a development need. Their contexts are different, but it is not true that our core problems or questions are entirely different. It's not true. It's pretty much the same because we all are human beings. We have some basic parameters. This is where eclectic leadership and that find your purpose tells you that today, anybody from two different parts of the world, different roles, might be having exactly the same problem, and eclectic leadership can address it because it's very human centered.
Thank you. Maybe we'll have time for only 2 questions before we conclude. And a banker I know has an interesting question, and it has to do with, I think he's alluding to how artificial intelligence and automation can remove biased leadership. A different way, but this is topical.
Yeah.
Where do you see this he's doing PhD now, I think in Malaysia, a banker turned academic he wants to be. Yeah, please. What is your take on this?
We are embracing it. I mean, it's like email now. I mean, we have to rely on AI for our work as well. But when it comes to thinking that AI, in the end of the day, it's all models are very Western models, the way of looking at the world. So we are using it to amplify our work, for our repetitive work, for our manual work. But when it comes to the human element of making sense of things, we want to be in the driving seat. So we want to focus more on the human intelligence. So HI versus AI. Eclectic leadership would empower us to become more and more HI. It doesn't mean that we will completely discard AI. Not at all. It's, again, we are not into mutual exclusion, but we have to use AI for our work, for really see how AI is reshaping the coaching industry, how, for all our therapeutic sessions, etc. But being mindful of the fact that it's a machine, it's a large language learning model fed by a certain type of companies or countries where there might be bias inherent as well. And you have to go back to the human element side of things, again, based on language, psychology, etc. Bear in mind, all of the prompt engineering, what exactly is that? You're trying to see how to speak with a machine in a better way. So going back to language again, that it's so important to speak with a machine, to speak with an AI, to speak with another person. So I can't emphasize that enough. And Bangladeshis are in an enviable position to really understand the power of languages and how we can take that position to be a cultural superpower.
Exactly, because to some extent or large extent, it's a, what do you call, created a level playing field. I mean, they were talking about internet, now even this one. So, and we have probably the advantage of this this population dividend we have. Now its question is how we use it. I have 2 comments here. One is one of our a business person. I think he's the CEO himself, part of chambers and others. Seeing you as an NRB, he's thinking, "Hey, how can we get investment in Bangladesh?" So probably to have eclectic leadership, why don't you? I would say to Salahuddin, why don't you come and join us? And then, if we have an eclectic leadership movement and good leaders, great leaders, then there'll be more trust by investors. So I see the connection here. And another comment is our good friend Shoumitro Kumar Mutsuddhi, who also reached out to you. The gentleman is a wonderful person. He's doing excellent work, but I know him personally. He asks a different question. Maybe I should answer that. His question, of course, is how will this continue? And I mean, this kind of webinar. Okay, every week we expect that there will be a non-resident Bangladeshi from the diaspora. So my next guest, actually, I have not 100% confirmed, is the person who asked the question or appreciated Shams, Mahmouda Rahman Khan, based in New York, who worked in development sector for so long, worked with, huge. And she, by the way, is an award-winning person. She got the award. I would say one of the presidents. I think a president after the name of the wife of the president of the U.S. There's a very coveted prize. She won. I'm sorry, I should have remembered it. I'll tell you later in the next show. So that's my answer to my brother here. So moving on, how to continue, and then thank you. Yeah, Laura Bush. Thank you. It's called Laura Bush Award. Oh my God, I'm getting older. It's true. It is the Laura Bush Award for her contribution in diversity and inclusion. Her work in Bangladesh. Very few people got in the world, and she's one of them. So lovely to have her in our next. And the reason I wanted to start with, of course, Shehzad, is I am into leadership. And I was so moved by eclectic leadership because in my work, I didn't talk about my leadership model, which is Phoenix model, and we will work with the eclectic leadership movement to get the element. I'm still trying to understand deeply about eclectic leadership movement, and then incorporate the elements so that my model does not suffer from the typical myopic view of leadership, and so that from linguistics to psychology to political science to the multiple traditions of leadership. So that is the beauty here. We have answered Afia Parvin's question to some extent. Maybe last question from Afia. How do we see eclectic leadership being applied in our context? Maybe you've answered it to some extent, but maybe a very specific question she has.
Yeah, for that, thank you, Afia, for that. Now, just technical terms, eclectic leadership, the concept, the model, everything is fine. But then when it comes to delivery, what happens is, of course, we can do workshops and trainings. We have courses, and we actually do consulting as well with companies here. So it's like more 6 months, 8 months of consulting of a different types. And we have proprietary nearly 13 eclectic leadership frameworks, so which we developed over the last 15, 20 years, which are all based on the 4 domains of linguistic psychology. But then, depending on the audience, we have one for young people, for like youth leaders, that what do they need. We have one for politicians. We have one for companies who are passing through transformation. So it all depends on, where we are. We have one on diversity initiatives, but the foundation is the same. Then depending on the audience, we apply it through training, coaching, whatever is needed, or long-term engagements as well.
Absolutely. I know we agreed that you're sitting in a car. Obviously, you're going towards a direction. So maybe in 1 or 2 minutes, I think there are many questions about whether this webinar, this is more like administrative stuff. Actually, if the webinar was in Australian, that's at a different time. If with the US, that may be different as well, maybe from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. in Bangladesh time. So each webinar information will be announced, and then you would know. And we might at one point create a WhatsApp group for really those who are interested, so they will know in advance first. This is the very first one. I was so happy that Shehzad agreed. A fantastic thought leader. There's so many intellectual property has been developed around eclectic leadership, as you said, and it's a matter of time when we actually can actually go and do it. So, I'm so happy to see. So before we discussed, Ronati meaning was different, but today new thinking channel opened up. Riyad, exactly. Thank you for your comment. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. So, having said this, I know I will personally answer others also on social media. I want to invite Sadban back. I promised. Meanwhile, let me tell you, at Bond, we believe people like Shehzad Shams wants to do something for Bangladesh. But then what are we going to do? What platform do you have so that we can take the benefit of this intellectual property, the knowledge? And that's why it matters to create the critical mass. And today is just the humble beginning. It's just an experiment we are doing. But attend our 10th or 12th webinar, you will see how we learn from our own and get things done. I'm told that not only in Bangladesh, in other places, gradually, critical mass is forming. I mentioned to you, Shehzad, that one of the NGOs, the Oxfam, in June, they're holding events in Birmingham, I think in London, and a couple of cities. I will connect you with them. They're more interested in investment, but then there's no harm in attending one of those, or I'll ask them to invite you. So this is how, this collaboration possibilities arise.
Sure.
May I invite Sadman to now just to say a little bit of formality of closing. Thank you, Sadman.
Thank you very much, Kazi bhai, for giving me the floor once again. And special thanks to Shehzad Shams bhai for wonderful, insightful sharing. And I really learned a lot about eclectic leadership journey and the movement that you have shared. And I thought not only me, but also like who joined here. All of us learned a lot of things. So special thanks to the person and the participants who joined this webinar, one wonderful webinar. So with this, I would like to conclude. But before that, with the permission of Kazi bhai, I would like to announce in the next webinar, we will have a guest from USA. So if you want to join the next webinar, you have to keep an eye and stay tuned and the Kazi Consultants Facebook page and LinkedIn. So till then, stay fine, stay well, stay healthy. To see you in the next webinar. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful. Shehzad, you may have to leave, but I can still stay for some time for some of the administrative questions that some of them may have. So, but you are free to leave. Sadman and I can stay for 2-3 minutes if you don't mind. Huh?
Thank you, Sadman. Bhalo থাকবেন.
Thank you very much. Kazi bhai, can you hear me? I think there is some technical issue that's happening here because it's raining outside. It's a lot of rain, so difficulties might come. So I would like to say some name who had joined with us. I think with this time, Kazi bhai will join us again. Imtiaz Rasul was with us, and Iqbal Bahar Bhai was also with us. I'm just randomly finding some name because there's a lot of comments, and it's really hard to read all the comments and to give answer of all the questions. So yeah, yeah, I think Kazibai will gonna join very soon. I'm not sure because there's some technical issues happening here. All right, so see you in. All right, so because of the rain, so we lost the electricity. So I think see you in the next episode and the next webinar. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. So see you later. Bye.
Are never outnumbered, right? We have always been out-organized.